Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to be doing a deck update that I've thoroughly enjoyed playing over the last couple of weeks. Now granted, I did do a deck profile of this deck about a few weeks ago, I guess you could say, but the ban list did hit the deck. And so I am doing a deck update for you guys, talking about how I'm running the deck since the ban list for fun. It's a fun deck, mind you. It's not supposed to be super competitive, but it's a fun deck to play around with. But it did get hit by the ban list, and I wanted to do an update with you guys and talk more in depth of how you could play this deck if you wanted to have a fun night at locals and just take it to locals, have some fun, get some laughs and giggles, and just have a good old time. So without further ado, let us get into it. And that is the Yubel deck profile. Now I profiled, like I said, before the ban list came out back in May. I profiled this deck for you guys. It has not changed that much. The deck core has not changed that much, but we're going to be talking more about tech cards you could run the deck, different ways you could approach the deck if you're taking it into a competitive setting for fun, especially like at a locals or something of that nature. So there's a lot of ways you can play this deck. So without further ado, let us get into it. So first off, we still run the same ratio of 1 Yubel, the Ultimate Nightmare, 2 Yubel, the Terror Incarnate, and finally your triple regular Yubel. Sorry for the glare. But yeah, you run the triple Yubel because this is the main thing you want to pop. You want to pop the regular Yubel off to go into your Terror Incarnate and then be able to pop that off, or just let it sit on the board and keep blowing up the board, and then go into finally the Yubel, the Ultimate Nightmare. And then what you can do again through your Reborn cards, like your Call of the Haunted, your Dragon Soul of the Oasis, you can bring back your regular Yubel, pop it with Diagram, and go back into the system again of just, you know, keeping Yubel on the field. So you can just keep abusing Yubel, and that's how this works here in the deck. And Nightmare is very good to use. Like, he can get over some problematic things. He can really win you games sometimes, and he has for me. Next, we run your 3 Armageddonite. You could run some other cards instead if you didn't want to run Armageddonite. One thing I used to run back in the day, and you still can run it in the deck per se, is you could still run Dark Grepher in the deck. That used to be something I ran more when I ran the Dark Shaman build of the variation of the deck way back in the day, but you could run Dark Grepher in the deck if you wanted to, just for reasons. Say you draw a Yubel, it's dead, you pitch it, the Yubel to graveyard to set it up, and then you send another piece to the graveyard. Plus he's got a bigger body, so he can do a little bit more direct damage. You could run Dark Grepher in the deck if you wanted to, but I prefer just the triple Armageddonite. You usually, I mean, you can search him out easily through Rhoda, but you mainly are going to use him to pitch all your different Yubel pieces. Specifically, these 3 right here, or these to deck thin, get them in the graveyard. So say if you have a Call of the Haunted and a Diagram and an Armageddonite, you just send this to grave, then you reborn it back with Call of the Haunted, activate Diagram, pop it, the Yubel, and then you go into your Yubel, the Terror Incarnate. So that's how that works there. And thanks again to my friends for loaning me these cards to use them in the deck profile. So next up we run the True Draco engine of the deck. Now, Masterpiece is banned, so we can't use Masterpiece, but if you're watching this video in the future, way many years from now, or however long it takes, Masterpiece will probably come back at some point in time, be it 5, 6, 7, 10 years from now. If you're watching that video in the future and Masterpiece is legal, you run the Masterpiece, hands down, as a 2 of, or a 3 of, preferably a 2 of. But we run the 2 Majestics, the True Draco, your 2 Ignis, because Ignis is back at 3. You could run 3 of it, but I prefer 2 of it. And you run your 1 Knuckles, which is pretty good. So this is the engine you run. You know, in a pure variation of True Draco, you'd be running 3 Majesties, 3 Ignis, and your 1 Knuckles, as I call him. But in this hybrid version of Yubel, you run this ratio. You're going to see that in this deck we run different ratios compared to a purer version of True Draco, because this, you have to remember, revolves around the one and only Yubel. It doesn't revolve around the True Dracos as much. The True Dracos are there to pretty much punch in and do damage, but Yubel is what we're trying to accomplish here, abusing Yubel. And the card that brings everything together with the true Draco engine and the Yubel engine is Diagram. Masterpiece was a nice little boss monster in the deck, but Diagram is what kept this deck alive. If Diagram had got hit on the ban list, the deck dies. Diagram did not get hit, thus the deck still lives. Just explaining that to people out there that thought this deck was dead already. Next we run your true Draco Heritage. We run 2 of that in the deck. Definitely a staple 2 of. Then your 2 Disciples in the deck. Definitely a staple 2 of in the deck. You run these ratios. I know in a pure variation you would run 2 and 3 of your 3 Heritage probably, and then you would run your 2 Disciples. But in this version of the deck, again, like I'm saying, you run different ratios because this is a hybrid version of true Draco to some degree. So this is the ratio you run instead. Next up, we run the card that brings this deck together, and if this card did not exist, this deck does not function. And that is 3 Diagram. Diagram, again, I'm going to say this to you guys, is the sinew that holds this deck together. It is the backbone of the deck. People were like, oh, this deck is dead because Masterpiece got hit. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Because Diagram is what makes this deck work, not Masterpiece. Masterpiece is nice to have. It's like having a cherry on top of a nice, ice cream cone or something of that nature. Or the cherry on top or the, whatnot. But what makes the ice cream, what makes the cake a cake is what's inside of it. And that is Diagram. This holds this deck together because Yubel can be popped. You can use Diagram to pop Yubel. Like I said, go into Incarnate, and then you can use Diagram again later on to pop the Incarnate to go into this, and then you can revive it, your regular Yubel through different means, then use Diagram to pop it, to go into your Incarnate again, go into your Terror Incarnate, and then just start the cycle all over again. And if it wasn't for Diagram, if this card was at 1 of, this deck dies. This card's still at 3 of, the deck lives. So that's how that works. Your 3 terraforming is essential to the deck. You need your triple terraforming. Thank you to my friend for letting me loan his supers. But you need triple terraforming because you need to search this card out as soon as you can. So your 3 Diagram, you run in the deck. It's essential that you have that card in the deck. For your 1-ofs, we run 1 Rhoda to search out your Armageddon Knight. You 1 Upstart Goblin, draw power. You don't really care about the 1,000 life points. I just want to draw cards, get to my combo pieces in the deck so I can go off. Upstart. 1 Soul Charge, because Soul Charge is really good. You could run Monster Reborn if you wish, but preferably I have been enjoying playing Soul Charge more in this deck compared to Monster Reborn. And then Foolish Burial, more ways of just sending cards to grave to deck thin, get things in graveyard so I can reborn them, bring them back, and pop them and do a whole bunch of different shenanigans. So yes, we run these 3 cards. As 1-ofs, you could run Raigeki in your side deck. You could run Monster Reborn. You can run Dark Hole. Dark Hole is a good card to run in the deck because Dark Hole can blow up your field. And if you blow up your Yubel, you get to go to your Interior Incarnate or your Nightmare. So Dark Hole is a good card to run in the deck over Raigeki because you can blow up your Yubel. But I prefer Trencher Tribute compared to those cards. Next we run some 1-ofs. Now I may cut these down in the future, but I'm still enjoying running them, which is 3 Call of the Haunted and 2 Dragon Soul of the Oasis. Now 3 of the Call of the Haunted and Dragon Soul of the Oasis is pretty essential to this deck because once you go through your Yubel, your 1 Yubel, you want to be able to bring it back and pop it with Diagram. Or you can reborn other cards like Armageddon Knight and go into rank 4 plays, so you can go into different things. If you have another Armageddon Knight on the field, you normal summon another Armageddon, you special some of the other Armageddon Knight, overlay, go for something. You get where I'm going. But mainly this is used for 2 reasons. To bring you Yubel back and to use as tribute fodder for your true Draco monsters. That's what this does. That's how this works. That's why you run these ratios of these cards. May I cut these down for other cards in the future? Possibly. But this is what I like running. Next up, we're going to talk about a card that I have been thinking about cutting out or just playing around with the ratio, as I mentioned the last time I did this deck profile, and that's Yang Zing Unleashed. Now, there's a card out there called All Out Attack Order. All Out Attack Order states all special summon monsters must attack, meaning that they have to mandatory attack. That includes a lot of your cards, but what you're trying to do with this card, Yangzing Unleashed, an all-out attack, is if you have a Yubel out on the field, regular Yubel, Incarnate, Nightmare, whatever the case may be, you want your opponent to attack them. They take the damage, you don't take the damage, your monster survives. That's how this is working. It's pretty much, think of a masochist, or masochism. That's how Yubel works. It's masochism in Yu-Gi-Oh! I want you to attack me. I need you to attack me. Give me damage. So, but yes, just jokingly aside here, that's what you're trying to do. Now, all-out attack order works with special summon monsters, but not normal summon monsters. Yangzing Unleashed works with normal summon monsters. So, I played around with all-out attack prior, back in the day. It was okay. And you could definitely run it in the deck as a 2-of or 1-of. Like, you could run 2 Yangzing Unleashed and 2 all-out attack order. But I've personally been finding from playtesting and playing against the meta currently that 3 Yangzing Unleashed is putting more work in for me than all-out attack order. That may change as the meta evolves and progresses. You could easily, like I said, I would definitely run, if I was to, what I ultimately am thinking of running after I do some more playtesting with the deck as the format progresses, is running 2 of this, taking another card out and running double all-out attack order. But more playtesting needs to be done. As of right now, I'm favoring Yangzing Unleashed, but it literally goes with the winds. Last night, I was using all-out attack order. The night before that, online, I wasn't using it. It just fluctuates. It's up to you to decide as the player, pretty much. Next, I run 1 Torrential Tribute. I like it in the deck. You can use it to pop your Yubel, go into your next form. It's board clearance. You need that in the deck. It's in trap form. It works well. You could run more Torrential Tributes because it's at 3 of now. But me personally, if I'm playing with it, you don't want to clear your board a lot. But the 1 TT is good to have. It's just nice to have. And like I said, you could cut that out for all-out attack order if you want to take the deck more in a masochism type of way. Lastly, for our other traps, we run 2 Draco Apocalypse and 1 True King Return, which is at 1-of. So these are your other True Draco trap cards that you run in the deck that come in handy for fodder, for different effects, and just helping with your True Draco engine. So that's the trap engine. That's the end of the trap engine there. Works fairly well. So let's talk about now. Let's go into the extra deck, which we really do not use that often. And we're talking about cards that you can use if you're trying to side deck properly to better use the deck. So I just run these because I love them. My Karen and my Lily, which are the 2 Pokemon girls I'm favoring at the moment. And then we have our Dark Magician and our Field Center Zones that I have. Next we have for your rank 4s, which I'm going to state this before I get into the extra deck. You don't really go into the extra deck at all. And we'll talk about cards that you can use instead and talk about more about side deck tech and other main deck tech to face in the meta at the end of this video. So for rank 4s, we run the Utopia package, which is the main thing I go into. Bagasucha, once in a blue moon, I'll go into. Malevolent Sins, you could run Gagaga Cowboy, but I can't find mine at the moment. I know it's here. Your number 103, your Diamond Direwolf, your 101 Silent Arc Honor, your Giant Hand, your Castel, your Tornado Dragon, your Heartland Drago, which does win you games. And then I run some rank 4s, which sometimes I go into, which is Sauja and Borlo Dragon. And then I do sometimes make this, and I mean very lightly sometimes make this, which is Summon Sorceress, which I sometimes use to go up into other monsters, but sometimes I do go into Summon Sorceress. So I just run that just because sometimes that does happen, but you could run Decode Talker instead. But Summon Sorceress is something I've been trying out in the deck a little bit. So, what can you run in the side deck? What can you run in the deck to make it more competitive if you want to take this for locals, to try to top at locals but still have fun? One card I would highly suggest is Ghost Winter and Winter Cherries. Literally, you have a 10 card extra deck, let's say. Say I use 5 slots for actually extra deck monsters that I may want to go into. You have a 10 card extra deck that you can use with targets for Winter Cherries. Spiral of Double Helix, ABC Buster, Link Monsters, the list goes on and on and on of things you can use. So, main decking or side decking Winter Cherries, I prefer side decking it because you don't know all your matchups. is a key thing that you can do in the deck. So you could run this in your side deck as a 3 of. My third one is in my binder. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. You could easily run side deck cards or in this deck and take things out. You may be saying, well, what things would you take out, Seto? What things would you replace, Seto, for these things? It's pretty basic. Like, you could take out the 3 Yang Zings. You could take out Torrential Tribute. You could take out your Upstart Goblin. So, let's see here. Soul Charge I could take out if I needed to. Upstart Goblin's not essential. It's nice to have, but I could take it out for side deck tech. Torrential Tribute you don't need to have in there sometimes. Like, you get, like, you have a whole bunch of things. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slots right there off the top of my head that I used last night when playing this deck, where you can side deck things out to side deck things in very easily. So that's very nice to have, and I've purposely done that in the deck if you wanted to take it into a competitive setting. So those are cards you can take out of the main deck to side deck into. Ghost Ash is good, Ghost Ogres are good, Drilling Locks are good, Effect Veil is good. You know all the hand traps that you play if you play meta, what are good to play in this deck. So there's a lot of different ways you can side deck this deck. You could easily play cards in it. One thing a buddy of mine was testing out last night when he was playing this deck, just for funnies, we were talking about maybe running even Anti-Spell Fragrance in the deck, because you don't really have a high spell count besides your diagram, which is nice to have. But if I'm going first, I could easily side an Anti-Spell Fragrance going first by going activate the diagram, do all my shenanigans, set the Anti-Spell Fragrance, activate it, slow my opponent down depending upon their deck. So if you can easily take a lot of your common side deck cards like Ghost Harnett Mansion, which is a very popular card at the moment as well, and you could easily put those things in the side deck and side deck them in, or you could tweak the main deck you wanted to, and you could easily take this deck to locals and maybe top at it, and people are not going to know what you're doing, and you're going to have everybody standing around your table going, oh my gosh, he just brought Yubel out. Like, oh my gosh, who does that in 2018? No one. So, saying all that, the deck is fun to play. You can take it to locals. You can have fun with it. I thoroughly enjoy playing the deck. It's a very, very fun deck to play. And like I said, it's easily can be played in a fun competitive setting. Will you win the event? I can't promise you that, but are you going to have a lot of fun doing it? Hell yeah. So till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling. Hope you enjoyed this more of an in-depth and analyzing this deck more. And it's not loud, so I can talk more in depth and go into things with you, which I usually prefer to do. But I hope you guys all enjoy this deck profile. I'll see you guys next time. And remember to give a big thumbs up if you enjoy this deck profile. And thank you to my friends for helping me, loaning me the cards so I can use in this deck profile. And until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling. I'll see all of you guys next time. Take care, everybody.